playing a couple little aggro decks. Mono red felt fine, like felt like it's like kind of 50-50ish. It didn't feel great. The black red deck that is a megaphone invention. He's a Pedro Cavaro, I believe is his real name. It actually felt incredibly powerful. We went 4-1 in stream with it yesterday, and the Mana Trader bots were down for maintenance, so I couldn't return the cards. So I fired up another league off stream while I was waiting for the bots to come back up, and got a pretty quick 5-0. Um, but in general, those decks feel a little weak to the field versus me. Like Teamer's so strong that I kind of want to keep working on this deck because I think at some point I can figure out how to beat Teamer with this deck. So the experiment today is we've cut all of the glimmers, which is probably going to end up being wrong. But the reason that I've decided to do that is because I believe that the 4-mana draw spells could be a trap versus all the counter spells, and I was already sideboarding all the counter spells coming post board from the Teamer decks. I think just having the extra selection from Search and extra ops and the Illumination can cycle for 1 mana might shore that up a little bit, helping us to get to multiple powerful spells. Whereas, like if we're just casting Glimmer on turn 4 and then Fumigate into turn 5, like, sometimes we don't get to cast that Glimmer because we need to play a Gideon or a Settle or a Cast Out or something on that turn 4. Actually, you're second, but obviously the other build's better versus less counter spells, but I believe I just want to try this list. It could be excessively wrong, but we're gonna try it. Hey Dumbo, what's up, man? Hey Kim. I played one league with 3 approaches and I absolutely hated it. Like it felt so miserable to me. Like I win a large number of games just because I draw 2 approaches without like having to find the first approach for a second time. But that could be wrong. Like I look at the 5-0 lists, right? And like a lot of the 5-0 lists have 3 approaches. But if you notice, those people that are playing those 3 approaches aren't like getting a lot of trophies or aren't getting posted repeatedly. So like I think they're just running hot in those given particular leagues. And this is a fairly popular deck. It's probably the 3rd most popular deck in the format. And I think that's why you're seeing so many of the 4 approach lists or the 3 approach lists pop up. But I'm personally pretty confident that the 4 approaches is right, and I could be wrong about that. Like I said, I've only tried it one time without them, and I absolutely hated it. So this hand's pretty good. We've got the first approach, and we've got a lot of things to find lands. Wouldn't mind to draw lands or like a couple sensors or something. We even have this that can be cycled if we need a land drop, or it can be used for power. This is probably a token deck. Most of the decks that are playing Evolving Wilds right now are token decks. Well, that's not great. I'm gonna go ahead and play the Plains instead of cycling the Illumination because if I can cycle this first and hit a land, I may not cycle the Illumination. Could be the black-blue control deck as well. Yep, it's the black-blue control deck. So cutting the Glimmers hurts this match pretty hard, and because we're mana screwed and actually have to cycle a cast out, it hurts us pretty bad too. We actually need the cast outs, but um, that's what we're trying to find out. This is the first build of this deck. Previously, we were about even with red to a slight dog. We were a massive favorite versus the world's blue blacklist, but like a pretty large dog versus the online builds that played Glint. And for Teamer, it all depends on whether they were using the Peach Garden Oath sideboard plan or whether they were using what's commonly been a more traditional sideboard plan. Like, we were bad versus the Gear Hulks and things, but we were great versus It's great that we found all 3 of these in our top 6 or 14 cards. So this game's probably going to go pretty badly for us. Our draw is very bad. We've drawn a bunch of our cards that just don't do anything. I think it's safe to do this right now. We're probably just going to take a land, which feels pretty terrible. It's like already having the cycling both the cast out and illumination hurts really bad in this match. I got a feeling this build of the deck's not going to perform very well at all. I guess a nice Fury that I want to test out. I just don't know how it's going to work in practice. It's going to be pretty hard for us to beat a couple Gearhulks. Kind of like the art of that. Well, that was a good draw. Unfortunately, I may have to cycle it because we can't afford to miss a land drop in this match. We cycled a second one of these cast outs, our odds are very bad. The theory is that versus every non-control deck, that they're not good enough. Every other deck's attacking, and we have so many powerful 3-drops that we're often casting something on turn 4. And Azcanta's just the best card in the deck by a mile. So, like, I wanted more cards that could flip an Azcanta early. Alright, well, cycling this is terrible. The things you do when you have no lands. That's the theory behind it. We literally got punished by getting paired versus the one deck that I think that this change is clearly worse versus in our first round. And the deck that we're paired versus I don't actually think is particularly playable at all. Like, I don't think it's a favorite versus Teamer. I don't think it's a favorite versus any of the aggro decks. So, like, I don't understand how it's playable. I think he's a pretty large dog to us as well if I'm just playing the other build. So he could go ahead and Gearhulk this. Not really concerned if he does. The fact that he's counterspelling this one's kind of good for us, but they have 4 disallows and a bunch of like just random counterspells, so it's pretty hard for us to get another approach through in the match. We've already cycled double cast out, so it's going to be hard for us to even deal with a Scarab God. Hey Murph, what's up, man? How you been? Hope everything's going well. So we can't ever cycle this cast out. We have to keep this cast out for Scarab Gods. It's actually kind of bad for us. It kills pretty quickly. I thought we were in bad shape when we had to cycle both of these in the early game. Hey Dan, what's up, man? Those things can still kill us in like 8 turns. Casting Fumigate's kind of a liability when we have so little action in our hand. Like, he's going to be discarding the hand size, so, like, Fumigates are very bad for us here. Because he probably has a Scarab God, in which case he would get mini counter spells. Well, I guess that's about the best draw we could get in this situation. They have main deck negates as well. Yep, we're not going to beat this match. We had an exceptionally weak draw, and it seems like they have a build that's more tuned to win the control matches. That's fine. If I draw an untapped land, I'll probably go ahead and Fumigate. I want to be able to at least cast out at the end of his turn in case he does have a Scarab God. My ear started ringing badly. Oh, that's not the card we wanted. Opponent drew, like, a lot of glimmers, too. His third cast, his fourth after the Gearhulk. He can have double negate with a Scarab God now. It's probably enough to beat us. Sure. Oh, he has sixth. Kind of interesting that he does six in that spot. What? What? I'm at 9 life. Opponent has drawn. Let's see. Supreme Will once, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's grabbed like 11 cards to the bottom. So opponent saw 44 cards of his deck and he scoops here? He has to have a counterspell, right? Does this mean he just has 2 Gearhulks and 1 Scarab God as kill conditions? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, we bring in all the blue cards. Sorry, we don't bring in all the blue cards. You can't bring in Torrential Gearhulks here because if they ever do land a Scarab God, they can just buy your Torrential Gearhulks back that's like died in combat somewhere, and use like their extra negates and stuff to kill you. The cards that are less good versus them are things like Effort Meltdowns, a couple Settled Wreckages, a couple Fumigates, so you do have to have some to keep them honest. Sometimes you need an alternate win condition, but we're not going to play an alternate win condition. Yeah, I heard. Happy birthday to you, bub. I don't actually know why opponent conceded there. It's kind of confusing to me. Alright, well, we have another terrible hand, but because of opt, I'm actually going to keep this hand. Opting on the draw. I think this hand's keepable. I'm even going to go ahead and opt now because I don't want to give him a chance to like spell pierce it or something, which he probably wouldn't do. But like there's some percentage chance that he would. This card's kind of not great in my hand. It's one of the many cards that I really want to sideboard out in this match, but like I've never had the balls to. Jim Davis's article said they're good in this or in good control matches because you often discard the hand size, but like you just don't, and you especially don't without the glimmers. But he will resolve a creature at some point, and like it can be used on that creature. I guess we'll go ahead and play this one. We're not going to cycle to farmlands, but keeping up a Supreme Will, like there is some problematic enchantments that he might try to resolve. Speaking of which, that is one of them. So I don't want to get censored, so we'll try this one. I did have double approach, but he hadn't actually cast but one counterspell that entire game, so I just assumed he would have another counterspell. I mean, he'd gone through 44 cards, and he'd played 2 Supreme Wills, 1 Negate. He played 0 Disallows. So all of his Disallows and all of his Negates, and any extra Supreme Wills or Gearhulks he had was in the 16 cards. Or maybe he just put them all on the bottom for some random reason. I'm not actually sure. Glacial Fortress in the Graveyard? No, we need that. Thanks for the auto host boot. What's up, man? He hadn't saw our hand yet either, so like he's just assuming that we would have had a double approach. He had no way to know we had double approach. So we have a second cast out if he has another Scarab God. Or if he has a Scarab God, rather. He did not, so that's good for us. Glacial Fortress in the Graveyard? Nope. We want every land in our deck, in our hand. So our Search for Azcanta has not done much yet. It often doesn't do much. And sometimes it brings all the boys to the yard. He could not, that's true. But still, like, why concede? He doesn't know he's dead. He doesn't know we have the second approach. He's not looked at our hand and we didn't redraw it or anything. He counterspelled the first one, so we couldn't redraw it. There's a good chance that I would have cast it that turn anyway, but like not 100%. I guess that's fine. Probably gonna try to cast out it. I think that card's powerful enough that it's worth trying to cast out. Sure. That's nice of James. They are time concerns, but it's not really that big of an issue on Moto. It's more of an issue in real life. I guess we'll keep this too and just slam our approach this turn. Let him do whatever he wants on his turn. He's going to get to flip his Search for Azcanta, which is kind of bad for us, but with the exception of Scarab God, we don't really care about that. I think that's probably the searched Azcanta James has been trying to trade me for several weeks. He put in a gate in his graveyard. My opponent is a madman. An actual madman. Put an opt in my graveyard? No, we'll keep it too. I'm just gonna keep everything. He's got a field of runes, so that means he's pretty far ahead now. Sure. Here's some noise in the other room that sounds kind of like a hamster. To my knowledge, there's no animals in my home, though. This is kind of bad for me, especially if he has a Scarab God to follow it up with. Cancel. Alright, Rosavarino. Hey, Dung Diggity, what's up, man? Not saw you in a while. Also, hello, Gut3. I don't know if I've ever noticed you around before. So we're kind of really far behind right now. So, what do we got here? A sensor? Yep. I guess there's no reason to flip it since he just has Field of Tomorrow anyway. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have played that. Big mistake. Shouldn't have played that. Should have kept it to discard. Ended up not mattering. Actually, it mattered quite a lot. I would have discarded it and had to rivel it. So that was a pretty big play mistake. Hey, Combo Noob. Thanks for the follow, man. Yep, pretty large play mistake by me. Kind of getting buried this game anyway, but it doesn't make the mistake any better. Duress. Oh, let's get rid of the more powerful one then. We've got to cast a card, get rid of the one that we care about. Sure. So we can still top deck Fumigate, I guess? He may not have a counterspell. Hey, Corlat. Welcome back to the channel, man. Not saw you in a while, and thank you for the 100 bits. You're just in time to watch us get sent to Browntown. So if he's got a negate, the game is obviously just over. Farmlands in the graveyard, short. I'm actually going to transform that this turn just to give us a backup draw to try to find a farmland, or sorry, not a farmlands, but a, what you call it, the Fumigate. Though I'm pretty sure he'll have a counterspell of some kind. Okay, maybe he doesn't have a counterspell. We've not really scryed much to the bottom. What's that little dude? Future man. How you doing, man? And we didn't hit. It's kind of interesting. If this had been a land, it would have been good enough. Alright, no negate, please. Well, he didn't have a negate. Looks like we're still playing Magic then. Well, that's pretty outstanding. No! Bring us back our approach. We still have a chance this game. The Azcanta up there is probably going to make us not have a chance. He didn't even use it. Opponent is playing loose and kind of sloppy. Just like looking for some kind of creature, I guess? Maybe he doesn't want. He just shuffled his library with an Evolving Wilds, so it's nothing that he put on the bottom that he's trying to protect. Alright, he's using it this time. It's just another Supreme Will. And Supreme Will is gone. We have two more approaches in our deck to find. That one's probably game. He has a counterspell in his hand. Yep, that's game, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He can just buy them both back if he wants. The gear hooks, that is. Some chance that he doesn't, but like I would if I was him, so. Well, if he doesn't buy them both back and he only has one counter spell, that means we have one more chance. That's a lot of ifs, right? Alright, he only bought one back. Now he's bringing another back? This is just 11, so. One draw step to rule them all. Just grab one to the bottom and one to the top. Can redraw a Fumigate and protect of a counterspell to get another turn as well. What is this? Another Glimmer? With each Glimmer you play, it's less mana for you to use counterspells. It's kind of odd. Is he like looking for a duress or something? Alright, so it looks like we have an out. We have about a 1 in 15 chance, and then we have a few redraws, and we can still hit a Fumigate to get like an additional turn. That's not it. Unfortunately, opponent did not get punished for his loose play. Wasn't getting punished anytime soon either, was he? Yeah, so again, I really want the Gearhulks in this match, but the Scarab God's such a good card that I don't think I can bring the Gearhulks in. The Cell Direckages do some things, but not a lot. Like between he has enough Duresses and stuff that he could always just pull it out of his hand if it matters, or he knows not to attack with the Scarab God. I don't really think I want to change anything. The sensors are pretty bad though, so like there's some argument that I could like just cut a couple of sensors and bring in the settles. But I don't think I want those. I think I just want to get a search. I want Field of Ruin in my sideboard. Or I want Field of Ruin in my main deck, but I don't know how to get Field of Ruin in my deck without hurting my mana. Because I already have mana issues. I already have a lot of color issues. And where we have all of our interaction costs like 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 mana, whereas like the black decks have fatal pushes. So like I don't think we can afford to play Evolving Wilds. Also don't want to thin lands out of my deck. Um, I would never play Evolving Wild without approach anyway. Or sorry, without wanting to trigger Revolt for some reason. Mainly because like I'm never sad to draw a land. Like if I draw a land like the first, have a land in play on my first 9 turns or whatever. Yeah, never really upset about that. Almost all of our card draw spells are in here designed to try to help us hit the land drops, which is why we're playing Ops and an Illumination over Glimmers right now. But I believe this is probably our worst match with this configuration of the deck. If we go back and put the Illuminations in, I feel that, or sorry, if we go back and put the Glimmers in, I feel like this is a pretty easy match. So we'll do more experimenting and see how our matches are versus the red decks and the teamer decks. Kind of want to draw versus him. Is drawing wrong? Feels to me like card quantity matters a lot. Certainly keeping this hand, by the way. That's right, you saw somebody chose to draw in standard. Could punish us because now we can't clearly cast a search for Azcanta on turn 2, but couldn't clearly do that anyway because they played Duresses. It's reasonable that I should have potentially not conceded and just let my opponent waste like another minute or two, potentially killing me. This hand's basically the exact type of hand that I envision playing this deck, though. A lot of ways to get early land drops and a Fumigate. Opponent may have left or something. He timed out during the sideboarding portion. So what's everybody into today? How's your weekend been? Enjoying all the new standard and stuff? Hey, Dave C, the streamer, Dave Murphy, won the Irish National Champions. Congratulations to good guy Dave. Wow, really? Downpour? That sucks. Hope it don't flood or anything in the area where you're from. Opponent's not DC'd from game or anything. It's been like 6 minutes though since he's made his last play or anything. I'm going to slam this search for. If he doesn't duress it, I'm slamming this search for Azcanta on turn 2, regardless whether he has Censor Mana or Negate Mana. Censor Mana or Negate Mana. Yeah, I said Mana instead of Mana. Maybe I can say Mana. A heavy weather event. I don't think I've ever heard that before. How are our frames doing today? Well, our frames are actually pretty bad today. I wonder why. Sorry guys about this like random downtime in this game. I apologize. Sure, one day off work, man. Did you have to work Friday? I know you went to Friday Night Magic. Wow, that sucks. So you had to work, then you played Friday Night Magic. You go home and barely get any sleep and have to go right back to work. Ugh. The adult life. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Here I am just playing Magic and eating ice cream. I should spring for the new ops if I'm going to play them. Sorry, I should spring for the Odard ops if I'm going to play them. Because he's like, arg. It's a good payday, though, at least. I'm guessing I've won. Like, he's not been around for. It's been 6 minutes since I gave him to play. And then, like, he timed out during sideboarding, too. 68 hours. Wow. Uh. Let's see what she does. I don't actually know what that card does. I've saw it in a deck that somebody streamed, but I never actually knew what the card itself did. I just know it was giving a bunch of tokens. 2/2 for 2, legendary creature, so that's already a strike against it. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you put 1/1 counters on target. You may put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Whenever you put a 1/1, probably not. Like, it's just gonna block. Doesn't seem like it's gonna get to deal combat damage that often. It could be okay, maybe in the sideboard of the black green decks, but like I don't know. I don't think that's what they need to beat this type of deck. I think they just want to rely on siphoners and cubs and discard spells, especially lost Legacies or whatever. 83 hours. Good lord. So again, I apologize, guys, for about this lengthy delay. But while you're sitting here waiting and being bored watching me, keep in mind you can click the follow button and you can go to my Twitter to see every time I go live, all the deck lists I play, and my YouTube, where you can see all of our past streams. And if you're watching from the YouTube, keep in mind that there's links to both the Twitch, the Twitter, and the deck list we're playing in the description of every video. And if you're curious about the links to either of those things, down below the stream, there's like little banners with those links. Yeah, I could potentially work with a persist creature. Seems like thin value though, since most of the decks with persist creatures just can like combo or get infinite value off of things like Knight and Ramia or Excavator and stuff. I have saw that deck streamed prior to Ixalan, and it didn't provide a lot of it didn't seem like it did real well, but I think it's just because like the black green decks already have so many amazing 2-drops, right? Like you have Lone Tusk Cub, you have Winding Constrictor, you have Glint Siphoner, so you already have 12 amazing 2-drops, 16 if you count Walking Ballista, so it's like really hard to like work this legendary creature in that's bad if you draw them in multiples. Hey, thank you for the follow, Guthrie. So I think that's one of the things that kind of holds a card like that back, that there's just so many wonderful 2-mana black and green cards already. I think it's less. I don't think it's so much that card being bad or that card not doing anything. I think it's a lot that like all the other black green cards are so amazing. So I might have to quit streaming forever if my opponent comes back and beats me in under 2 minutes. I would be embarrassed. Alright. Well, we won. It was kind of a fun match, to be honest. Like it was a bad match for us, but it's kind of fun. It's like a learning experience for me. I'm a little disappointed that he disappeared. Maybe he just really had to poop. You never know. That's what laptops are for, though. Yeah, so we won the dice roll. This hand is miserable, again, as usual. This hand's pretty bad too, but we're going to keep this one. We have a scry already, and we have 2 things that we can actually resolve. Hey, what's up, Wake Up BB? We're certainly going to put a blue spell on the bottom. There's plenty of blue sources in the deck too, so could pull out, could get the magic or the. It's like very likely a Teamer deck when he shows us that card, which is our best match. But you know we mulliganed into a Mana Screw, so our best game 1 match rather. There's not a lot we can do about something like that in this spot. Rip. Yep. Oh well. Happens. I'm targeting this guy, just hoping that he won't have enough to give it extra energy. Oh wow. Well, that was great. He just allowed it. Yeah, trick's probably not going to work again, so we'll have to get the Rogue Refiner this time. Mana? No, still no mana. Well, at least the Gideon did provide a lot of preventing of a lot of damage. It happens. Could probably still win if we just start drawing lands. Alright, so like maybe we draw Settled Wreckage next turn or whatever. Maybe we draw a land and opt into a Settled Wreckage. Just see how he attacks here. I think he's going to hit me for some damage. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance deck. What gives us our best chance? So he's going to be able to attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at the minimum. I guess we're going to start with this thing. What do we discard? We're certainly discarding at least one search. I guess a Censor as well. Alright. So this gives us a few... Hey George, what's up, man? So this gives us a few chances next turn if we're not just dead anyway. Which we're probably not just dead. Are we just dead? Let's see, 8. 8 plus 6, 14, so not dead. So this gives us a few chances next turn to find a Fumigate or a Settle. It could be like the combo build. It could be like Temur Pummeler and us just be dead or something, but... So obviously putting any card in our graveyard does not Fumigate. I'm doing pretty good today. Feeling pretty good. What do we got here? Fumigate in our graveyard? Why, no sir. No sir, we will not put that one in our graveyard. Luckily our opponent got Mana Screw too, and he like put this servant into combat for some reason. Alright, so I'm still going to gain 2, so Glorybringer doesn't kill me. And all we have to do is find a land and we can play an approach. What would be bad for us here? Like another Bristling Hydra and then a Glorybringer? What new list? I wasn't aware of us talking about any new list that I didn't immediately just insult. Well, that stays on top, right? Don't care what this card is, it's probably going in the graveyard. We can still die if he has main deck counterspells. Like main deck counterspell into a land and a Bristling Hydra would kill us. That's pretty thin though. Alright, well, that's pretty good for us. Probably have this game locked up now. Guess he could still have a Spell Pierce, but he drew a land for the turn, and he didn't Spell Pierce last turn, so just let us get to our main step so we can play our approach. It says I have to pay another mana? Okay, never mind, it was just lagging up. Yeah, so but I haven't tried it. No, this is the only new approach list I've tried. All right, so sideboarding versus those decks. I typically like to bring in Regal Caracal, if I know for a fact they're not on Scarab God, I like to bring in Torrential Gearhulk, but you never really know for a fact that they're not on that. So, like, that's a bit of an issue. Um, Also, for the same thing, if you know they're on the Gearhulk plan with a bunch of blue spells, you can bring in the negates. But again, you never really know what they're sideboarding. So, like, game two's a little tricky on how you sideboard. I typically sideboard out a lot of our, like, scrying cards. Like, and just hope that, like, the sheer number of interactive spells that we have early gets us there. But, like, for the most part, those are what I take out. Because, like, we have 7 3-mana-ish removal spells. Censor's absolutely insane here. But this isn't a match where, like, card quantity matters a whole lot. Let me check Facebook then and see what we're talking about. Wow, why am I dropping so many frames? It's a tilt. We'll keep this. Especially versus his mulligan. I'm never playing a third Gideon in my life, but other than that, and Settle's infinitely worse than Fumigate. Settle is so much worse than Fumigate that it's sad. Settle barely makes the deck, much less 4. In my opinion, anyway. But what do I know? What do I know? Not playing the Search for Azcanta right now. Being able to censor a Bristling Hydra is too important. Whoops. Have to tap the blue. But yeah, being able to censor a Bristling Hydra is just way too important. That is the, in my opinion, by far weakest card in the deck. A good opponent will play around it, and you'll never get a giant, like, wipe 75 cards off their board. Like earlier, like yesterday on stream, I had a Hazoret. I just never attacked with my Hazoret. That card is extremely powerful too. It's actually powerful enough to get a counterspell. But like, besides all of that, like, it's just not really needed. So what are we looking at here? He could have Glorybringer. So I think we'll not play the farmland. We might actually cycle to farmland this game. Hold up Death or Meltdown and see what he plays this turn. Another Whirler Virtuoso. Well, that's not great for us. Actually does a decent amount of damage in this spot. So do I take 2 or not? I kind of want to answer this card. I think not. I think we're just going to look for a Fumigate. That's not a Fumigate. Cast out. Probably not. Maybe forced to cast out that now. Don't really like doing this. Don't think it's particularly good or anything, but I don't want him to get more energy and be able to make more 1/1s. Now that might be kind of cool. So now he has no energy for that card, which is kind of nice. Wait a second. He left up Servant that time. It's kind of weird that he would leave up Servant there, right? Does anybody else think that's very weird? Sure. Like, maybe that means he's on Supreme Will, was the card in his hand? I was using Ode Tempest Islands, which is kind of nice. So see, he's like playing around Settle to Wreckage, right? It's like one of the reasons Settle to Wreckage isn't great. People just play around it. It's still a fine card. Glacial Fortress in the graveyard. I kind of want the Glacial Fortress because I kind of want lands. But I think I'm going to put it in the graveyard anyway. Yeah, I guess we're just going to pass turn again. We'll keep playing this kind of control game if he's playing this kind of control game. He did not get a black mana there, by the way, to note with that Attune. Or, sorry, with that Attune. So it's pretty safe to say that he doesn't have the black in his deck. Hey, Dragonfire, thanks for the follow. Farmer Market in the graveyard? Sure. There's a Fumigate. Kind of want a land drop for the turn. Ooh, didn't mean to tap that one, but I guess it's fine. I'm not going to have land anyway. Really want a land drop for the turn. Don't think I'm going to use the Farmer Market here. Think I just want to hold up Jace's defeat. In case he draws, I don't know. So he did have a Supreme Will. So, like, didn't want him to get a Torrential Gearhulk or something was the main reason we just counterspelled that one. There's no creature he could draw that I cared about, but, like, a Supreme Will would have... Sorry, a Torrential Gearhulk might have been able to lock up the game. I'd actually rather play this than the Farmer Market. I think it gives us more turns overall. And we're going to be drawing dead cards that we can discard to the Farmer Market later. We'll not put an approach in our graveyard. We will, however, not transform that either. I'm definitely not playing Friday. It's draft and it's Ixalan draft, and Ixalan draft isn't very good. Yeah, so we beat Teamer with the Peach Garden of sideboard, but he did draw very poorly in game 2 and 3. We know we're a massive favorite in game 1. Like, we won that game 1 even when we were mana screwed. He was mana screwed too, but like he had a fairly good mix of cards. But game 2, he didn't really get to play Magic. The Settle to Wreckage is okay. Like, it's very medium. But, like, Fumigate is the truth. Like, I would play 4 Fumigates before I would ever play the first Settle to Wreckage in this deck. I mean, I've played it once and it was pretty medium. Alright, so we'll play first. It's actually good matchmaking. We got paired versus another 2-0. That's pretty rare. That's pretty rare in Moto terms. I mean, he drew real poorly. Edupint? Edupint? Edupint. Sure. I'll pretend that's how you pronounce your name. Edupint. Thank you for the follow, man. Hey, Corlat. Coming up with that second 100 bits for today. Highly, highly appreciate it. You are the man. What's this little dude's name? Swift Rage? So this could be the Desert Approach deck, which is probably a favorite versus us. They have a lot more controlling elements than we do. And they have Hour of Promise, I think is what it's called. And that's kind of like the Mirror Breaker. Hey, Anonymous. What's up, man? Do we want this? It's good enough. It can find us a land if we need a land at the point. What are you into? Let us cycle our center, please. Red Rover, Red Rover. Give me priority on over. Get on out of here, censor. Hey, we keep drawing that one of Illumination. Maybe we should always only play one of. But see, this is another reason, like this happens way too often. It's another reason that I don't want to put Filter Runes in the deck, even though I feel like I need them. Like, the mana's just so awkward. I could counterspell that. I think I will. Their deck plays a bunch of, like, Ixalan's bindings and cast outs and things, so, like, just being able to use cast out on him doesn't seem really worth it. Not keeping anything but land. I'd keep another opt. But. It's another search for Azcanta, which is a little disappointing. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this deck. So hopefully we'll hit our land here. We're not going to cycle to Illumination because our opponent's missing a land drop. Like, we're going to hopefully be able to bury him. Why did I start streaming? Oh wow, I can't hear out of one of my ears. When did I start streaming? I don't know. This is like 80 days or something. Or are you talking about when did I start streaming today? I started streaming about an hour ago today, if that's what you're asking. I think I'd rather play Illumination than a Gideon. What in the world just happened to my ear? It, like, started making this weird noise, and like, it was like, you know how your ears pop and makes that, like, kind of like funnely noise when you're going up a high elevation? Like, it did that crap. Yeah, about 80 days. Who is Anonymous? You someone I know, apparently? I'm going to assume so, since you know my nickname. Hieroglyphic Illumination, go go. I'm getting taller? I hope not. I hope I'm not getting any taller. They need to make a cast out that's kind of like a hostage taker. How sweet would that be? That you could cast out something and then, like, it's yours forever. Hey, Celtic. What's up? Um, a couple reasons. One, I'm too stupid to. I used to have music all the time and then it just stopped playing and I have no idea why. I think it's because I have, like, If I'm guessing, it's because I have speakers and a headset now, and I have to figure out how to set it up. But for two, I post all of the streams on YouTube, and YouTube won't let me post the music. So we need to find something pretty impactful pretty quickly. Opponents getting out of their mana screw pretty easily, so. Is that kind of a bad sign? I guess we'll cycle this, even though cycling it feels bad, but we're getting to the point of the game where we like really need something. Nah. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to Nationals. Nationals was irrelevant in my opinion. Um, a landslide 4. Like, so many of the good players had buys that it's literally impossible to like make any judgments based on what they did. Like, they just all have buys. There was only 4 rounds of standard today or yesterday, and like most of those players had 2 buys. So like you're getting to see them play 1 to 2 rounds. That's not particularly impressive to me. Well, we can't beat this card ever, so we're gonna try to cast out it. Even though the cast out doesn't really matter a whole lot since he probably has a cast out of his own at this point. But like our hand's completely dead, so. Need to draw one of our 3 searches or one of our like mini approaches. There is only 2 rounds after draft. So like the top level players are going to be playing a total of 4 rounds of standard in this event unless they top 8. So he played his own. We know our thing's 6 cards down, but if he just plays another approach, we lose. He may play around the counter spell, but I doubt it. I'm certainly not playing around the counter spell if I draw one. So that's 2 cards for him. I mean, they may. I have no idea. I didn't pay any attention to it because I only care about standard. So, wish it was just a standard event. But he's already played one approach, right? So his approach is now 4 cards down. Our approach is 6 cards down. have to see if he wants to play like a Glimmer or something. So we got rid of the one approach we knew about, but those decks are 4 approach decks usually. It's kind of weird if he does that to me. He's gonna have to do it twice to me. Let's. He has disallows in his main deck. He's at least played 2 of them. Alright, so he's just gonna go for it. It's pretty loose, but I guess it works. We knew what the top card of our deck was, so like maybe he just didn't have any other out, but like there's some number of chance that I won't use that. Anyway, that's fine. So versus Dimir, I like to bring in all of those and take out lots and lots of removal spells. So he's got Scavenging Grounds and Field of Runes in his library. So I have literal no idea how he worked that mana in. Like, it's not possible for me to work that mana in, so like I don't know how it's possible for him to work his in. This card's not particularly good in this match. He's probably not going to be attacking us, so we don't really have any way to get it in our graveyard either other than search for Azcanta, so I don't think it's worth putting in our hand. So I think we'll bring in 2 Regal Caracals. I just don't know how you can work that type of mana into your deck. So we got double Fumigate in our opening hand, but we can't really mulligan because we have lands. It's kind of a tilt. We're drawing all the dead cards. As you can see, though, again, we don't have enough white sources to even play our Gideon right now. So, like, how do you work colorless lands into the deck? We have mana issues almost every game. Actually, I'm going to put that on the bottom. Not worried about Gideon coming out this early, and we need some kind of gas. I don't know. Maybe. Depends on who's doing casting and stuff. Like, it's pretty hard for me to listen to Ryan Overture. He doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. I'd like to draw our search for Azcanta. Not casting Gideon here because he could just counterspell and untap and play Search, and Search is pretty much the only card that matters. Maybe I should have mulliganed with 2 dead cards in our hand already, but like the odds of just redrawing one of those is fairly reasonable, and then you tack that onto the fact that maybe we don't draw lands. Like, it doesn't seem like it's worth that kind of risk. There's an approach, so at least that's a good one. I don't like to come into play tap deserts in this match either, because like a come into play tap land can kill you. I'm a pretty big Bueller fan. I like his commentary. They may counterspell this. I probably would protect it, but only because our hand's super weak. If we didn't have two dead cards in our hand, I would never protect this. At least we can't die to approach while it's in play, so like now he has to use a cast out on it at some point. I think Hunt's pretty intelligent. I think Hunt sometimes sounds awkward on stream, but I think it's mostly because he's trying to like lead Ryan into saying relevant things, and Ryan just never says relevant things. So like I don't think when Hunt sounds bad that it's his fault. I used to very much dislike Cedric, but I think he got a lot better over the last year. Don't know where to feel. Oh, Ryan, yeah. I like Craig Crimples too. I don't think Craig has wonderful chemistry with all of them, but like overall, I think he's pretty good. It's a good chance we just get buried by Kefnet this game. So that's not great for us. It's pretty easy for him to have a negate still. Well, that was a great draw for us. I never could get behind Bressler's commentary either. He made way too many awkward puns for me. Hey, Magit TV, thank you for the follow, man. Just in time to watch us get browned into blue white approach semi mirror, I guess. We're pretty different decks. He's a control deck, and we're like not a control deck, so it's definitely hard to call us both mirrors. Just gonna probably slam approach whenever I draw it. I don't think I'm gonna look for a counter spell. I don't know. I may. Never know. Could use this sensor, but I'm not. I'm not gonna cast it this turn. I'm just gonna sit here and die to Kefnet instead. That sounds like more things that are up my speed. Well, he's tapped out, so I was looking for a cast out to get this while he was tapped out. Thanks, man. We're playing an experimental build today, though, so like our results today probably aren't going to be great. We're playing with no glimmer of geniuses in the 75 today because I've lost my mind. No Glimmero Genioso. Not even trying to counterspell that. Drawing cards is in fact good in a control deck. Maybe we'll find a cast out. We get to draw 2 cards this turn, but like he's gonna be on 9 cards. Alright. Preordain. That card may have been too powerful. I'll let smarter mages than me figure that out. I'm a pretty big fan of Scrylands myself. So we're for running 3 Search for Azcanta today. Maybe we should have ran 4. We were debating between this card and a 4th search when we chose this card, but there is just no chance this approach is going to resolve, right? Just like 0. Feels to me like 0%. Hey, SVV Gordon, what's up, man? You can keep asking, but I'm certainly never trying a list that doesn't have 4 Fumigates and 4 approaches. Ever. Or without a way to beat mono red post board. I don't think I want to play it yet. There we go. Maybe we can win with this. Hey, VXCVF123123. Thank you for the follow. Nice. Hope you do well. So opponent has a whole lot more deserts than we do. So it's very unlikely we can kill him with this card. There's not really very many cards in my deck that are better than Supreme Will either. Are you running any cast out in your deck? Because if you're running cast out, I would not run Hour of Revelation. Hello. That's a kill condition. 3 other creatures. Didn't expect that. Alright, if you're not playing cast out, that's reasonable then. So how exactly do we win here? That card doesn't even do anything because he's got this. I guess our only out would be like drawing multiple approaches in a row. Like just a bunch in a row. Which isn't super likely to happen. Goodbye, approach. Goodbye, we will miss you. This thing can't attack or block. Attacking this doesn't really feel like it does anything. Yeah, ours okay versus tokens, but unless the tokens decks are playing Lost Legacy, they can't beat you anyway. Not all of them run Lost Legacy either. If they run Lost Legacy, you just can't beat them. Because they can always resolve a Lost Legacy. Well, of course red deck is. You don't play authority in your sideboard. You're just never beating red deck wins unless you play authority. Ever. You're rarely beating it if you do. So it's kind of just like losing the crap out of this game. We really had to literally draw like approach. And we did not. Yeah, I probably need to test some Ixalan's bindings now that it's not bugged on Moto. Champs is a lot worse than Authority. Like, Champs almost does nothing. Champs is bad versus Earthshaker. It's bad versus Cropper, and like you don't gain the life if they have the dinosaur. Cliffkeeper is another interesting card. I'm certainly never attacking him to death, so I guess I'll just block and proceed to wait to die here. So I really don't think we have an out. Like, maybe his hand's miserable, but with the fact that he has Search for Azcanta, even if it was miserable, we'd still just lose. Like, make a million tokens. He can basically do whatever he wants now. We're going to play for some miracle chance that like he doesn't have another counterspell, which seems completely irrelevant or impossible, considering the fact we know he had 2 disallows in his main deck that he cast game 1. Maybe I could draw like Rivulet, and he not pay attention to his library count or something before we're dead. Like, is that even a reasonable thing? Probably not. There's probably nothing that can actually happen. Alright. Zone approach. Don't know if he even needs that to win this game. It does certainly speed it up for him, though. One more time approach. Not an approach. Still can't beat it because of that thing. He definitely has a disallow in his hand now. Like, we can't win at all. Like, he's gonna beat me with another approach. I have no way to beat the other approach. Oh, friend. Maybe if I like rivulet him at the end of his turn and draw an approach, he'll tap low enough that we can get somewhere. Oh, well, never mind. He just has it anyway. It's kind of weird that he didn't play around a counterspell. Why would he not play around a counterspell? Because the game's guaranteed over. Why would he do this? Like, we can have any negate and just win now. It's kind of odd to take a risk in a one game. I mean, that game was so won that I could demonic tutor every turn the rest of the game and probably not win. Moto's not going to let me look at the top of my library either. Thanks, Moto. Oh well. I don't think with this build of the deck we're going to beat very many control decks anyway. And he's definitely on the control side of the match. Like with Disallow's main deck and Glimmers and stuff. Like, we're just not going to beat that. It's fine. We're trying this deck because I think it might be better versus mono red, but we have yet to get paired versus mono red, so we'll certainly play first. Sorry, I was updating the stats. We'll certainly keep this hand as well. Eh. Gideon was dying anyway, though. Like, whether it died that turn or whether it died next turn, there was no way to save that Gideon. The Gideon was dead at some point. Whether it died that turn, next turn, or the next turn, like, there's no way I'm ending the game with that Gideon in play. But it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. Alright, so mono red, maybe. Could be like a teamer deck that led with a red land or something, but it's probably mono red. Yep, shock to the face, mono red. Our hand's very bad versus mono red this game. Yep, 100% had a disallow and had a search for Azcanta. So we didn't draw any of our 7 3-mana interactive spells. Farmer Market in the graveyard? Nope, I guess we gotta keep that one. Either way, though, we were definitely dead. It's just how did he want to beat us? The one line he did choose gave us some chance to be able to win, but so he'd have probably played Karl Zeb if he had it last turn. So what 3-drops do they have? Probably none. Just prevent some damage, I guess. They play a post-combat. Oh, these are in their main deck? Well, it's a good thing that we can't really gain life without killing it anyway. Farmer Market in my graveyard? I don't really want to put it in my graveyard, but I have to have lands. I have to have lands. I have a better chance of winning with the Fumigate probably than anything else. Lands and castouts are what we're looking for. Oh, let's feel the pain. I'm not going to counterspell that, but I might as well look for a land. That's kind of interesting. I kind of want that card. I guess I'm going to keep it and use the Supreme Will to look for a land. Sure, you can have it. Well, we had to fumigate too, right? So like we're going to take one hit from it at max. What do we got going on here? Come on, land. Like we have to have a cast out at some point to beat a Hazoret, maybe. This is like next turn if I just farm market this during his attack step or whatever, he could just have a land and a Hazoret. Plains to my graveyard. Sure. Gets closer to flipping. We have 5 lands for this turn anyway. Second cast out's not a terrible draw. It's like it's all about trying to protect ourselves from a Hazoret. And tapping out to kill the Ferostodon gets a Hazoret in play that we did not have a cast out for at the time. We do have a cast out for it now, but like we didn't at the time. Sure. Probably should have cycled a Censor during my upkeep. That was probably a fairly large mistake. Yeah, but I mean, we didn't know we were going to get the cast out, so I wanted to save a Supreme Will just in case, is what I'm trying to say. Well, there's a Hazoret. So we're kind of pretty far ahead now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not 7 mana. Yeah, well, we want a 7th mana, and I guess we want to cast out, so. Just in case he has another Hazoret. It was probably correct for me to cycle that Censor, but my play mistake did not get punished. You gotta love it when a play mistake doesn't get punished. We don't gain to 7 life unless we kill that thing. I would kind of rather save it for a Hazoret, but. And now we can sack Rivulet and Azcanta so they get exactly 2 more attack steps to deal 20 damage. Yeah. So we can't lose at this point. He's not dealing 16 more damage to us this turn. With 1 card in hand anyway. We... Okay. There was 2 of them. So we got lucky and won the Fabled Game 1 versus the Mono Red deck. Alright, so when I used to sideboard versus this match, I would bring in these 8 cards. I like how I just put those into my land. And I would always take out my slower card draw spells. Well, we don't have those slower card draw spells anymore. Search for Azcanthus might come back in on the play, but they're certainly going out on the draw. I think this card is worse. So I guess we could do this. We used to cut the 4 Glimmers, but the Supreme Wills may not be good enough. Ops may be better than Supreme Will. That's something worth thinking about. I used to cut 1 Fumigate all the time as well, but now that they run 4 Ferocidons, I don't really like cutting a Fumigate. I used to also shave on an approach a lot. Could potentially shave on an approach or something. It's still fine. Like, it's one of the few 2-mana interactive spells, right? So like if they go turn 1 dude, turn 2 dude, turn 3 dude, you have to have something early, especially if you don't draw to 40. The Gideons aren't particularly good either, but like they do prevent some amount of damage. So this is kind of an interesting hand. If they have their fast draw, Settle the Wreckage isn't fast enough, so I'm pretty sure we have to mulligan this. I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to go to 5, and we have a scry. This hand's not very good, but like I said, we have a scry. The first hand was arguable to keep. Like, if we could see their hand, the first hand could have been sweet. But if they literally just went like 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, we're probably dead before it comes out, especially if they play around Settle. Eh. It's good on the draw, or on the play, but it's not great on the draw. Like right now, I'd love to draw an Effort Meltdown. Gonna be cycling this farmland at some point in this game. So like a 40 is the best sideboard card that I can think of in the match, and it's just not good enough a good portion of the time. Opponent's mana screwed. Maybe it's good enough this time. Especially if he doesn't have another land here. Sure. So go ahead and always yield to these. It's like one of the things that makes me not like Settle a whole lot. There's a Cat Scratch Fever. I think we'll go ahead and pass, try to find us a Meltdown or a Fumigate or something. We may need to Fumigate if he has the Dino. If not, we're just going to look for a Meltdown. Rip, no Meltdown. So hopefully they don't have a land and a Dino. That's not a land and a Dino. Well, okay. So we're trying to fade a Lightning Strike in one of these then? Rip. So now we need a way to kind of kill that. That doesn't do it. Don't really have anything that does it, do we? Take 1 point of damage no matter what this turn, and that's best case. Guess we could cycle this and maybe hit a Settle. Is that our best out? So like cycling that and hitting a settles our best out, I guess. And it's not even a great one. That's true. Cast out would have worked there too. So if we survive this turn, we'll probably win. Rip. That's not good for us. And he's not playing another creature? That's pretty bad for us there, too. So we need a cast out now. Guess we'll start with this one. That doesn't really do it. That doesn't really do it. So 2 burn spells kills us. No, I don't think the snap's real. People play around Settle. It's one of the reasons I constantly say Settle's not a great card. I think that card's good enough that I have to cycle this. It's like one of the reasons that I constantly say Settle's not a great card. Cast out? That's not a cast out. Rip. We dead, folks. We dead. So Fumigate does something here. Doesn't do much, but it does something. Oh. Hey, Gunner, what's up, man? How you been, Gunther? Well, next problem is we got to find a cast out for this thing. We don't have a lot of time to even find it. Well, that doesn't do anything. So I have like 1 turn to find a cast out? Or an approach, I guess. An approach would gain us a good amount of life. Or maybe we don't have 1 turn. So I have like 7 reasonable draws. He's certainly not casting that. And there's only 1 left in our deck. I mean, maybe that was the right line, but didn't really want to tap out. Alright, well, we're dead. And this is one of the reasons that a 40s isn't a winning sideboard card. Like, we drew 2 of them and it didn't matter. So on to play, our farming markets and our Gideons and stuff are considerably better. I don't think I want to change anything. Maybe I don't want the Supreme Wills. Like, maybe Ops are better than Supreme Wills, but not particularly playing great here. Well, did we even have enough mana to cast to mill ourselves, use authority, and play another spell? This hand's terrible. We'd had to have 10 mana. I didn't count our mana. This hand's fine. The problem with the negates is they just draw the other half of the deck. You can have dead cards in your hand, kind of like Settle was dead all last game. The key to this match really is drawing the Censors and Effort Meltdowns early. If you don't draw them, you don't win. If you don't draw those cards, you just can't win this match. But if also dig end of turn, I can cast it next turn too. Like there's not another blue spell in our deck, so there's not enough. Well, I guess there's Supreme Will. Wonder if it's worth it to use this here. Probably. Probably worth it just to prevent any amount of damage that I can. Like it's only 1 damage this turn, but it's also 1 damage next turn, 1 damage the turn after that, and so on. While putting it in our graveyard. Yeah, so it ended up being 2 damage this turn. Feels pretty reasonable at 2. You're right on time. Could have played Dutherland and cast Farm to Market, but I really just want to make sure I can cast Cat next turn. Hopefully he doesn't play anything that has to be cast out. Yeah, well, that doesn't have to be cast out. Maybe they just have a bunch in hand because they should be holding at least 1 for the cat. I would just think they have 2 or 3 of those in their hand at this point. That'd be my one little minor guess. They just have like a bunch of them. Trying to find any time to use them reasonably. Well, he didn't play at end of turn, so maybe I'm just wrong. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying the timing that they use it. Alright, so he did have 1. Still gonna block this guy. I get what you're saying now. It's like when he used it, is what you're saying. That's kind of interesting. You can have a cast out or a Chandra, which makes me not really want to get rid of this. I don't really want to get rid of the approach either. Don't really want to get rid of the land. I can get rid of the Fumigate. The Fumigate's easy. Kind of need the land for the approach. Kind of want the Gideon. Like, the Gideon is a very hard card for him to deal with. It's better versus Hazoret. Or, it's like much worse versus Chandra. It's the one spell I can play this turn. Like, if we just draw a land, we're 100% playing the approach next turn, right? So... Gideon's super powerful. Yeah, Chandra can win the game. For sure. Uses their mana better to get rid of the cast out. So he can't attack with a Hazoret next turn. I guess since he can't attack with a Hazoret next turn, if we didn't have the 40, I'm pretty sure I keep the Gideon. I'm certainly not blocking the Soul Scar Mage since it's just a chump block. I'm also not going to cycle this cast out either. Cast out's pretty good versus that one too. Let's see what kind of answer we find here. Opponent's pressed F6, so he doesn't even have a shock. I don't think I want to let him get 2 cards. So the only thing that's like really threatening right now is if he untaps and has a dinosaur, right? Like him having a dinosaur would be huge. We'll try to prevent damage at least. So we'll leave the cat back this time. So we have 7 cards to get back to an approach or just draw an approach naturally. Can also like draw one of our other 3 cast outs, one of our other Regal Caracals, our other Gideon's good. On the matchup, depends on what colors they're playing. If they're playing the black build, it's a little problematic. If they're playing the blue-red or the blue-white, you're pretty favored. The black build with all the extra discard spells is pretty problematic, though. So we're really just looking for any one card that can cycle this turn. That is not one card that can cycle. So he has us on a 2-turn clock. So we have to find something. I was talking about pre-rotation, I guess. There's not one now, is there? Now that Carphetic Reunion, I guess, and Chaos Maw was the build I was talking about, but I don't think it's a deck anymore. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wish we could see the order we were drawing these. So we need something pretty good here. Approach is 2 cards down after the Rivulet. Hit 2 cards that could have saved us from this spot. So we need like a cat, a cast out, an approach, a settle. Depending on his hand, maybe even Effer Meltdown. I'll tell you what doesn't win. Plains doesn't win. Alright, well, we're dead. It's 2 games that we drew double authority post-board and just lost. One card away. Oh well. Wonder if it was okay to leave him with the Vandal Blast. I mean, it's pretty standard. I feel like we're a fairly large dog post board, even with all these cards. In my testing, like, we just don't beat mono red very often. We. Alright, well, 2-0 into 2-2. Playing for the pity chest. Oh, there's 48 viewers in here tonight. Yeah, this build's not really working out like we wanted it to. Looks like we're going to have to put the glimmers back in. This hand's fine. Especially when they don't get their creature draws, right? I think I'd rather cycle a cast out than an illumination, so we're going to lead with the plains. The plains also turns on a glacial fortress if we draw it for turn 2. Oh, well, we're just dead, probably. So I have to find a lot of lands and have to find them fast. They have their best card versus us. I consider that card better than Chandra or Hazoret. Hey, thanks for the follow, Miles and Tess. I can't pronounce it. I'll call you Tess. Second Gideon. Always fun when we don't have the mana to cast it. Still no mana to cast it. Our opponent was mana screwed one of those 2 games too, and we still couldn't pull it off. Yeah, I don't see how people fit colorless lands into this deck. As you guys can see, I have color issues most games without running them. Another Beaumont? That's brutal. Guess I could have counterspelled that one, but I want to put this in my graveyard. Like, I actively am wanting to put this in my graveyard. You play Paper. Paper's not the same as Moto. Oh god. We drew a mana. I clicked the wrong one because Moto popped this up. I did not click to open this and then Moto moved my whole thing. That is such a tilt. I did not click that. Thank you, Moto. That's pretty frustrating. Can't even play a second card this turn? Alright, well, we're just dead. We don't have an out. Fumigate exactly as our one small window. We'd have been in good shape to win this game had this Gideon been in play. Because it would have prevented at least 5 damage. Go ahead and kill it. I just don't think those cards beat red deck without the authority. Well, we're dead. So this Gideon would have prevented 4 damage, so we'd still be in this game if it wasn't for how that moved. Sup, Lord? What are you into, man? Just curious what our cards would have been. That's why I'm not scooping. Find out when you hit concede, Moto's less likely to let you look. Nah, probably would have still lost then. Yeah, let's bring these 8 cards back in. Whoops. I wasn't supposed to take out the 2 Search for Tomorrows. I'll bring them, or sorry, Supreme Wills rather. Alright, we'll run it back, see how it works. I mean, we have 3 Effort Meltdowns and 4 Authorities. I feel like Authorities will gain you more life than a Sun Scourge. Like, Sun Scourge is considerably worse on the draw. It's probably better on the play, but it's considerably worse on the draw. And we're tanking our rating pretty hard today with this weird list. Probably would have tanked it anyway. My other list loses to red deck wins too. It's like the only match that I absolutely hate. Yeah, it's just an experiment, James. Like, I sideboard Glimmer out versus the red decks, and I sideboarded out versus the teamer decks anyway. So I was just trying to make the deck better versus the 2 reasonable matches. Or 2 matches that I find fairly unreasonable. Yeah. Opponent's taking too long, so we're going to try something else with our sideboarding. More Azcanthas and more Ops. Because you're using your mana on those turns anyway. Like, you don't have a free turn to use it. Any game that you get to use it, you're already winning. It doesn't help you win any games that you're behind. They have 5 or 6 counter spells post board, and they have Torrential Gearhulks post board. So, like, you drawing it on like turn 11 doesn't matter. And if you're able to cast it on turn 4 and 5, like, you're way ahead that game anyway. And you generally, because of their counter spells, have to find multiple Fumigates, multiple Settles, and stuff like that. So, like, the Azcanthas and the Ops help you find what you need. But that's the theory behind it. That's why we've been doing it. I sideboard out every one of my burn spells in this match, except for Lightning Strike. Our opponents have left all of their shocks in both games. I find that really weird. It's like such a dead card. I would rather have anything, like even a bad creature. I'd rather have Pia than a shock. I think Gideon shines in this match. At least on the play. It's like considerably worse on the draw. Spoiler, you can say that practically about any card in this deck versus red deck wins. So I guess he's killing the Gideon. That's fine. Oh. But we know what we're doing for our mana for the next couple turns, so we're going to go ahead and cycle the Censor. Actually, we're not. I guess we're going to kill this thing, right? Killing a random creature with first strike seems fine. Because in theory, we don't need more cards. In theory, the cats are enough. Cat scratch fever. You don't see very many red decks that are trying this card. I was pretty entertained, or was pretty interested in trying it. So opponent scooping. Alright, well, winning the game on the play is easier than winning the game on the draw. You gotta keep in mind, George, this is not a control deck. We're not playing a control deck. We're playing a stall deck. I think we're gonna keep the ops. Figure we're probably tapping our mana for something on turn 3 most times anyway. Well, we have to keep this hand. We have an Effort Meltdown and we have an Authority that we can play on turn 1. So basically we have our best possible. We just have to draw a bunch of lands to go with it. We don't have any way to stop like a turn 4 Dino. But like we can stop a turn 2 Dino. Sorry, turn 3, rip. Why'd I say turn 2? Sure. This is Earthshaker. Definitely going to resolve. Can't really do anything about it anyway. F6 Arini. So I have a Censor that can get a Hazoret or a Chandra this turn. That's not nothing, right? Am I going to be cycling this farmland? I guess it's our guaranteed 5th land, and we need more than 5 lands anyway, so. Probably will cycle the Censor if we can't use it this turn. Probably won't cycle the Censor if he doesn't play a land this turn. Wow, he didn't attack. He skipped through his attack step. That's kind of unfortunate for him. He also got rid of a Lightning Strike, which makes our Regal Caracol considerably better. He didn't attack again. It's like he's actively choosing not to attack these turns. I'm not actually sure why. Could have another Lightning Strike. I would never use that first Lightning Strike without a second. If he does, he's sandbagging it to get a trigger on the Soulscar Mage. I'm not sure why opponents keep doing that. That doesn't seem profitable to me either. Having better access to your mana just seems better to me. He has another shock. I mean, Sure. I think either of those shocks is just a lot better of a magic card. Um, when they could be used for other things. Like a Pia there would have been a lot better, I think. Yeah, we'll have to hope he doesn't have a dino. Probably pretty hard for him to deal 12 damage to us this turn. Guess he could have like Chandra or something. Sure. Yep, Hazard. It's fine. The opponent had a terrible draw with his lands again. So go up to 20. There's just no way you can deal 20 this turn. You can deal like 8 if you had like double lightning strike. You get an additional 8. I don't think opponent realizes that he gains life every time he attacks with this. Yes, the Ragavan gives me 1 life. But it still hits for 2. And the Karl Zev like cancels that out. But it's whatever. I don't think opponent realized that. Anyway, so we get our money back and we get a pity chest. To break down how the deck went, we didn't play particularly tight in every game, so it's like kind of hard to judge that. The sideboard was what the sideboard is. Like, I still haven't found a good way to beat mono red. The 40s don't seem good enough. Like, they actually seem kind of bad, but they're literally the best thing I can think of. We played versus a blue-black deck and an approach deck today. We beat the blue-black deck, but they timed out game 3. We lost to the blue-white approach deck, so like we probably have to have the glimmers back. So like this whole experiment probably just failed. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this whole experiment failed, but it was worth trying. It was something that was on my mind to like see if ops were powerful enough that we didn't need the other cards. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today. Let's go ahead and open our pity chest for the stream. Always open the chest if we go 3-1 because we don't deserve $2 for going 3-1. So I always cover it up with my hand too so I can get surprised. You get a Cascade Bluff. I actually got a Chameleon Colossus. That's actually worth a lot on Moto, I think. It used to be worth a lot on Moto. I don't know if it still is. Yeah, it's worth like 5 ticks. Nice. I think there was a time when Valakut was going crazy that was worth like 20 ticks on Moto or something insane. I think the Cascade Bluffs is just worth like $1 or $2. It's not worth a whole lot. Yeah, it's worth $1.88. But anyway, so I guess those randomly go to the collection. Who cares? I'm never going to sell them. So we actually did well on that chest that we didn't deserve. But I appreciate you guys all coming by. And keep in mind, I don't know if you guys like Limited at all or anything, but U.S. Nationals is about to come back on. I want to say thank you to all the new follows. Thank you for Chris for stopping by. We love your stream, so it's cool to see you in our stream. Thank you, Corelight, for the 200 bits. We appreciate it, man. And let's see who we can host. Doesn't look like anybody's really playing. Oh, here's a guy playing Blue-White Approach. All right, we'll just host him then because he's playing Blue-White Approach. If you like draft, keep in mind that the featured drafter's Brad Nelson on the Magic page. But if you don't like draft, here's another standard player who is also playing Blue-White Approach. So, appreciate you guys coming by again. And as usual, I'll do my best to be back tomorrow.